Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk.
Good afternoon again. Welcome back to Midday Majlis on Mira Business FM. And now joining us from Riyadh is Lubna Ahmed Haque with us. Joining us all the way from Riyadh, a creative powerhouse, medical writer, and a community champion. Lubna founded Writers in Riyadh nearly now has 600 writers with her who are storytellers, and she's reviving her digital magazine also. So she's behind Saudi Arabia's first ever Riyadh Writers Conference as well. Lubna, we're so thrilled to have you with us. Welcome to Midday Majlis.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Lubna, you have founded Writers in Riyadh and built a large creative community. So what made you start this, and what kind of gaps do you see in the region? Do you see similar needs across the GCC?
So I actually started Writers in Riyadh just because, honestly, I wanted fellow Riyadh writer friends. I was moving to Saudi Arabia from the UK, and I had no idea what to expect. And for me, it was like, okay, I want to connect with like-minded people, and I can't find anything like that just yet. So I decided to start my own community. I set up an Instagram, people followed, and before I had moved to Saudi, like physically moved, we kind of had 16 people, and that was how it started. It started from 16 people in a coffee shop getting together just because they're passionate about writing, and that's what kind of made me start that part of things. But I've always been passionate about community and creativity. So it kind of naturally was a follow on from what I was doing with Unread, and it progressed from there, it turned into an even bigger vision. And in terms of seeing a similar need across the GCC, 100%, I think community is a massive part of any industry, especially the creative industry. And I think with the way the world is moving now, where you've got AI, you've got tech, the human connection is so important. The human aspect is so important. So having communities that nurture that, enable that, I think it's definitely important, not just for on a business perspective, but also on a human perspective.
Right. So you mean that human touch is always required, no matter how far or how advanced the technology goes, right? So,
100%.
right. And so it's clear that sometimes creating the space for people to connect and share is just as important as writing itself, you've said.
Yes, definitely. I think everyone has their reasons for creating in itself, writing, and having a space that kind of nurtures that, makes it safe to do that, and gives all experiences a space to do that is really, really vital.
Right.
I think sometimes things can seem unreachable, but when you're around other like-minded people who may be experienced or who may be just starting out, it kind of creates that safe space to say, okay, like I'm here, I can try. And I think it's the most human way to be.
Right. And people often think that writing just means becoming an author. So, from your experience, Lubna, what other careers exist for writers today, especially in places like the UAE and Saudi?
Oh, there's so many things. I think, and people might be shocked to hear that because obviously the standard is, okay, if you write, you're going to become an author of some kind. But obviously, another thing that people might see is marketing. Marketing is a huge area for writers, but it's not just a marketing you need across all sorts of industries, right? You've got the healthcare, you've got tech, you've got education, there's branding, which is obviously marketing, policy. All of these areas need words, they need communication, they need education, they need connection. And that comes from, as I said, words. So you need writers for that. So I think being a writer doesn't pigeonhole you. You can find yourself dabbling in all sorts of industries. It depends on what your passion is and what you're interested in. For me, I was really, really passionate about biology and human biology, and I had no idea at the time that medical writing existed. For me, I thought it's either just journalism or it's teaching, or it's you have to write your own book. But I was really fascinated to find that there's actually all sorts of technical writing and niche writing, and medical writing turned out to be the best thing for me.
So, you mean that writing is something that opened doors in communications, research, and of course, media more, right? So, Now, you've mentioned that you are a medical writer. So, medical writing isn't a widely understood profession. What exactly is it, and how did you get into it?
Okay, so when I was at high school, I absolutely loved science and particularly human bio. Like I love learning about myself, my body, the human body, how things work. And I thought that the only kind of avenue I had to go down pursuing that path would be teaching it. Or if you enjoy biology, then people are like, be a doctor. But for me, neither of those professions really kind of felt like the right thing. And I thought, okay, I'll go down journalism. I started in scientific journalism, but I found that that environment just didn't suit me. And though I love talking about educational topics related to, bio, it wasn't necessarily the way I wanted to do it. So I fell into medical writing. And what medical writing basically is translating science and healthcare information into clear, responsible communication. And so the example I would give you is when you go to the doctor's office and you're sitting there and you see a notice board and you see posters that say, have you checked, have you done this test? Or do you know what blood pressure is? Or do you know, have you checked in with your cholesterol? All of this content is written by a medical writer, and there's so much research, there's so much insight that goes into that, and it requires a specialist in that subject to be able to write and create that. We not only do things for patients like educational materials like the leaflets you might get, but also for doctors, educating doctors on a specific type of drug that's been just released by a pharmaceutical company. It could be general public campaigns on social media. You might get an ad that pops up and says, "Oh, what is heart disease?" And all of this information is researched, written, fact checked, created by a medical writer. It's a very niche area, and I had no idea it existed, but it's a fantastic space to be in if you're someone who's really passionate about human biology, really enjoys writing, but just doesn't want to be a doctor, but doesn't want to go into teaching. It's a really creative and fun, but also brilliant space to be in.
Right. And creative, yet technical and serious. So, what has surprised you, Lubna, most about the creative scene in Saudi Arabia since the launch of Writers in Riyadh? And how do you see that energy connecting with the wider Gulf?
I would say what surprised me the most was the appetite. I had no idea what to expect moving to Saudi Arabia, I have to be honest. But when I landed and when I started connecting with people, there was this openness and this hunger and this excitement for creative projects, cultural projects, and I just found people were just so open to it. So that really surprised me and that really energized me as well. It made me really determined to host regular sessions, regular events, regular workshops. And the attract like people were really attracted to it. We had so many people coming along, and I found that wow, there's definitely an interest. And I think it was the thing that really attracted people was the community aspect, the ability to connect with other humans who are similar or interested in what you're also interested in, but also just connection. I think in this digital age, everyone's just so busy, you know in this modern age, just working and getting through life. And I think having community spaces, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether you're in GCC, Riyadh, or in the UK. Sorry about that. Whether you're in the UK, having such spaces, it's so key, and it gives people it's a lifeline. So I think people are very attracted to it, and it doesn't matter where you are. It's definitely a space that people are drawn to.
Right. And Lubna, you've said that you've worked across cultures in the UK and now you're based in the GCC. So, how does that shape your storytelling and how you connect with the audiences in places like Riyadh and Dubai, let's say?
So I found that by having experienced different cultures, it's meant that I've been exposed to different types of people, different types of the different ways of doing things, different stories. And I guess that has helped open me up to what the world is really. I was born and raised in a small town in the UK, Luton, and there was a certain just one type of population there. But having traveled, having got myself involved in different cultures and communities, it's really opened me up, and it's just meant that it's made me want to create a space like that wherever I am. So by creating Writers in Riyadh, we have all types of people joining us. Like, I can never tell you what the normal member or average member will look like, because everyone's so different. You have expats, you have non-expats, you have locals, you have different languages, and it made me want to create a space that brought all these people out, and it does that. Every event we have like up to it could be max 80 people coming along, and they will be from different backgrounds, they have different interests, but the thing that connects them isn't actually writing, but it's a need to connect, it's a need to find community. Because a lot of people aren't actually writers who actually join us, they're people who have an interest in the
Sharing
listening to the
ideas.
spoken word. But yeah, but they come along and they're like, oh, being in a space like this, it gives them the opportunity to connect with different people. So yeah, I'd say experiencing different cultures made me want to create that kind of vibe wherever I was, and being at Riyadh, it enabled me to do that. And as I said, there's such an appetite for it, so people were totally down for it.
Interesting. And if a young writer in the GCC is watching or listening you right now and is unsure whether writing can be a real career, what would you say to them?
I would say writing can absolutely be a career if you treat it seriously. I know that in certain I would say backgrounds, there's this kind of thing of like writing. How does one make money from writing? Like, it's not possible. There's the other more solid professions, like you can be a lawyer, you can be an engineer, a doctor, but how does one make money from writing? But it's absolutely possible. I think it's a matter of understanding first, what are you actually interested in? Not just, so you're interested in writing, but what subtopics are you interested in? And I can guarantee you that the more a person researches, they will find that, wow, there's a way to connect them two together through the avenue of writing. Start small, be consistent, build your skills. I would say build a portfolio. These things are really important. Going out there, reaching out to online magazines, online platforms, and building that kind of experience, and then understanding what you want to niche into, it can really help. Because as I said, there's so many industries. There is the standard journalism, there's also marketing, but then there's also, industry specific stuff like medical writing or other kind of technical writing. So yeah, and also finding a community. I would say it can feel like, where do I go with writing as a career? But finding a community of writers will definitely open up avenues for you as well, because it shows you that, oh, okay, there's more to this world of writing, and it's not just a dead end where I can't make money and I can't make it a career. And
Right. So, what will help is having that right purpose and goal set in mind in order to
yes.
approach the right trends or people interested. So, what role do stories and storytelling play in shaping how the Gulf region sees itself and presents itself to the world?
I would say that the Gulf region, just this side of the world, it's just so rich of color, culture, different types of people and voices. And I think stories have been the way for humans to communicate since the beginning of time. Okay, whether it was through scratchings on a stone or whether it's on paper, stories have been the way that humans connect. And I think they're the best and the most beautiful way that we now communicate stories about a country, about a certain culture, about a certain community. So I think they're essential. They're essential to the way that we now communicate, and they're becoming even more important, especially human stories, because everyone's obviously, tech is advancing, AI is advancing, and everyone's kind of using this tool to, a lot of people are, to put together their written work. So what's kind of going to set people apart is adding their human voice to it, and humans are great storytellers, and just allowing them to do that, and combining that with, whether that's the background of a country or whether that's the culture, bringing those two together, that's how you get a message out there. That's how you can market something. That's how you can brand something. So I would say it's definitely important in the way that any country presents itself to the world, finding what makes it different, learning more about its culture, its heritage, its history, and packaging it up in a beautiful story that people can resonate with, that humans can resonate with.
Right. And finally, Lubna, advice is always valuable for those just starting out. So, what is your advice for the aspiring writers out there?
I would say, don't tell yourself that I'm not a writer. If you have an inkling to write and you want to write, just do it. And you don't need to start off writing for everybody else. Literally, just write in a notebook, journal, and try not to put pressure on yourself to make it perfect. Just put your thoughts down there and see where it goes. Write regularly, like journal regularly, connect with other writers, find a community 100%. And if you can't find a community, create a community. Nothing's stopping you. And also read. Reading is obviously very important. That's usually the first advice people give. But my advice is, don't tell yourself you're not a writer. If you're
And start
interested in it and you have
somewhere.
passion for it,
Right.
yeah, just start and see where it goes.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Lubna, for being able to join us and for sharing your creative side with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Same here. You have a good day ahead.
You too.
That was Lubna joining us from Riyadh, and she's the founder of the Writers Club in Riyadh. And now, this is it for today. Before we sign off, I would like to give a quick shout out to Luxury Breaks, which is the ultimate podcast for luxury car fans with Tim Elliott and J6 UMX. So do not miss it. It comes out every Friday, and it's available on YouTube and on all platforms where you get your podcast from. And with that, we come to the end of today's Midday Majlis. I'll be back with more engaging conversations and interesting discussions. Do not forget to like and subscribe to Mira Business FM. Until next time, goodbye.
Mira Business FM, your daily guide to the markets, money, and more. Business comes to